doing these shows twice a week now, you would think we might run out of reasons
Shit
or
to talk about.
content or that or content to like make fun of Manchester United for, but it's the gift
They
that keeps on giving, bro.
Yeah, dude, it's a never ending non disappointment. It's been quite refreshing lately, if you will.
Yeah, first it was Sir Jim Ratcliffe going ahead and revoking the $1 million salary that they were giving to two. Was it two?
Two.
$2 million. Okay, revoking Sir Alex Ferguson's cushy gig of being an ambassador, aka here's money every year just because you are who you are. Did
Right.
that, and now another cost savings bonanza for Mr. Radcliffe was to cut
Ooh.
the office Christmas party is no longer a thing.
Oh.
You get no Christmas party anymore. We're saving
What?
money here.
What?
Tell me you're a shit club without telling me you're a shit club.
Welcome to the Snobby Boys. All right, everybody, welcome to the Snobby Boy Podcast. I'm your host, Colby. That's my homeboy, Joe, over there.
What
Joe,
up?
what do we? Hold on, before I do that. I'm sorry. I'm still
laughing.
laughing. I'm still laughing at the Christmas party bit. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell to get all of our updates, all notifications as to when we'll be on. Joe, what the fuck are we talking about tonight? Goddamn.
Aside from finding moments where we can poke fun at Manchester United, which is always fun, we're going to be hitting the relevant city news that has popped up in the last couple of days. Surprisingly longer list for only being a few days since we were last on. We're going to talk a little bit about the England managerial changes that have occurred since yesterday. Big changes happening. A lot to talk about there. That's going to be a bigger topic we're going to dive into. Benjamin Mendy's back in the news. We're going to hit on what he was talking about. Once again, the APT discussions have been pushed back again on the Premier League because they don't have their ducks in a row. We'll do a quick recap of the ladies' game today and them getting more players called up to the national team. And then we'll dive into a little bit later what's going on with the season tickets and some of the gripes that the fans are having currently with what's going on with the North Stand, with season ticket prices, all that jazz. So and then finally, last thing we'll talk about is just a little quick preview for Wolves because we're back in action with Premier League football again on Sunday morning.
Thank fucking God.
So, and then
Thank
lots of footy for the two of us for our children's after that too. So,
oh shit, yeah. Late start to our days on Sunday in terms of that. Luckily, we get in early. We probably should have scheduled this to where it was like a morning match or a morning show rather than stay so late. But M's would it be?
Facts.
Let's get into it. So the whole week, everybody, well, even past that, everybody was just all over the place about Pep possibly being the New England manager. That was very swiftly debunked. If we're talking about timetables in the media world, we dodged a bullet, so to speak.
That we did because the rumors were starting to swirl and saying the FA had made some formal inquiries with Pep, and Pep was talking about it on some press conferences and some appearances that he's a Man City manager and it doesn't really matter. And then we get the news that Mr. Thomas Tuchel is going to be appointed new manager for the England national team. So that is a good news for us. That kind of allure maybe of Pep's desire to go to the national team, allegedly, is no more. They have a manager through the next 18 months to get them through the World Cup. So the one thing I'll say for Tuchel, he does pretty well and knows how to navigate cup competitions where it's knockout football. He's done well in the Champions League in the past with PSG and Chelsea. That's kind of what the whole point of national team tournaments is that piece. So, um, maybe it's a good hire. I know from the most reaction that I'm seeing is not being received well at all by majority, not all, but the majority of the English contingent for a variety of reasons. Some of it's tactical, but overwhelmingly, the reason that they don't like this hire is because he's German.
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit.
Daily Mail's doing its thing with perpetuating this issue by having the back page headline with the word German in all capitals and making it out to be a negative connotation. And tell me your feelings, man. Tell me how you're feeling about this.
As somebody who has, found out my heritage recently, and I've taken to it rather well, considering that I was all hyped up in the fact that I was Italian, but I'm not. For me, like, there's a part of I can see both perspectives, and I always try to do that to the best of my ability when it comes to very topical topics like this, especially when we're talking about somebody from the outside coming in. I understand the gripe because you do want somebody who is from your country, and you want that glory. I heard somebody on Talk Shite griping about it, basically saying that it should be an Englishman hoisting the trophy if and when that does happen, and I support that. I do. On the other hand, where's the pool of English coaches? Where are they? Are we missing out on something? Like, is there something that's not translating? Because I think that's more or less the issue. I don't. If you have a coach who comes in who has a pretty decent CV, if I'm being honest, why wouldn't you accept that in considering the run of coaches that we've had? We just went through the whole Gareth Southgate ordeal, and that didn't make anybody happy, even though he was a fucking homeboy. He was a homeboy. And then the same thing with Carlesley. I mean, he obviously didn't want to step up to the plate, which that kind of unnerves me a little bit. I thought he was doing pretty well with the squad he has and making sure that he is kind of redesigning ball there a little bit and trying to focus. And we said this in the past couple of weeks, trying to focus on what these players know and the ball that these players want to play, especially with our attacking portion of the England squad. Now, the way that Tuchel has done things in the past, seeing things with Chelsea, seeing things with Dortmund, I don't know if that's English ball. You know what I mean? And I don't know how receptive or how receptive it's going to be with the players. And I think that matters most first and foremost. Fans, I'm sorry, you get what you get from the FA. You'd be lucky that you got Thomas Tuchel right now because there's no pool for any coaches out there, and Pep was never an option. And I think for most City fans, that was also the case. Like, Pep was never the option.
This right here, what you said, what Gunnar said, worst coaching management pools in the world. You want a manager from England, these are your choices right about now. And I'm going to go in probably like best to worst, maybe.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe. He's not leaving Newcastle.
Nope.
Sean Dyche. You want Sean Dyche to
I
take
don't think
over?
anybody wants Sean Dyche.
Gary O'Neill from Bournemouth. Does that
No.
excite you? Graham Potter. Does that excite you?
No.
Will Still.
No.
Still like Mark Robbins.
And Nick,
these are the people you want.
Right. Nick, I agree with you. I'm not saying that they won't flourish more so than they did under they will flourish more under Tuchel than they did with Southgate. But again, it's from our perspective, do these guys want to play that type of ball? You have to sell a system to people. You know what I mean? You have to have them buy into it. If they're not going to buy into it, you're not going to catch any W's. That's case in point for like all sports. You see a lot of these teams that are doing so bad when they have decent amount of talent. Let's use Chelsea as an example. They don't buy into the system, they ain't going to play.
You should want to hire the best person for the job, regardless of their nationality at this point. You're going into the World Cup. It's 18 months away. You should not be nitpicking based on the nationality of the head coach, of the manager. Yep. It should be whoever is the best candidate who's going to fit and get us to where we want to be. That's who it should be. The fact that there's so many people just dogging him because of his nationality and not, if you want to have a gripe with tactics or his managing ability or something about him as a manager and not from where he's from, that makes sense. But just because he's not English, he shouldn't be in their Brazil and Germany have never hired other people. That's fine for them. You guys are not them. You are not, like, you're a different country. It's not. It just drives me nuts that people want to use that as a excuse not to hire somebody in this kind of situation. There's no rule against it. The U.S. just went through this. They had been hiring strictly U.S. born managers since Jurgen Klinsmann was around, and he was an exception to the rule. They almost always pick somebody that had come up through the system, had been in the MLS for a long time. And how did that work for us? Not great. So it was refreshing this go around for the U.S. to actually, one, shell out big top dollars and then go find a qualified candidate from someplace else that can
a more qualified candidate
than anybody here that's a U.S. manager, and be able to see with fresh eyes what we have going on and make real changes to it. Granted, we lost to Mexico 2-0 yesterday. It was a friendly. Don't really care about the
result. These are warm-up games, if we're being real, especially for Maurizio. Like, it's just, these are warm-up games right now. I want to debunk this. The amount it costs to get your pro license in England is almost $10,000. Most don't have to pay that. Well, I'm going to debunk that just because we understand the system here in America and how it translates over there. You get to that point where you're at the level of getting to a Class A, more than likely the club that you're with will end up paying for that. So it's a matter of you getting at least to your D and then catching somebody's eye, and whatever club you're in with will typically pay the tuition or whatever you want to call it to get that said license. So,
well, even Will,
it's not that it's not out there. It's how many people are taking it seriously enough to want to get to that level to be able to have that opportunity.
Well, yeah, and even Will Still was managing, and his club was catching a fine every match that he managed because he didn't have his license, and he now does. But that shouldn't be a deterring factor at this point. But again, hire the best candidate. And then people are going on about, and was it Journo asked him if he was going to sing the national anthem?
Yeah, that annoyed the shit out of me because, like, dude, do you really expect him to do that when consistently English people try to drag other nationalities through the fucking mud on the internet? Like, I'm sure he's not seen that. You know what I mean? Like, if he's going to stand there and he's going to put his hands behind his back and he's going to respect the country to that degree, I think you should be okay with that and let it move on. You should not expect somebody to sing another national anthem. You know what I mean? And he even came out and said, you know, he finds it touching and it's beautiful and it's moving, you know, and he respects the culture of the English, but all in the same, like, he's German, that would be a misrepresentation. And I don't think that an English coach going to Germany is going to sing the German national anthem, probably because they don't know German. You know what I mean? And it's not that he doesn't know English. It's just, that's not yours. It doesn't mean the same thing. Like, yes,
that's okay.
He's there coaching that team, and he has put he's putting all of himself into that team. So, like, that really at surface level should be enough.
100%. And this whole, you have to sing the national anthem for any country, because this isn't just specific for England here. There are players playing for their national teams that are standing there being respectful, hands behind their back, looking at the flag, being silent and being respectful, that still catch shit from rabid, ridiculous fans who are griping that they're not actually singing. It's a personal choice. If you want to sing the national anthem, great. If you just want to stand and be respectful, that's... At least you guys don't get to dictate how other people behave. I'm sorry. You do not. Yes.
Your mic switched.
Did it?
It did.
Moment. Hold that. It's still not coming. It's showing on my Yeti.
You sound crisp and clear. Maybe you just weren't in to begin with, and it just kicked itself in. I don't know.
Okay.
You
do I sound good now?
You sound magnificent.
Oh, beautiful. Well, that's good then. I'm glad to hear that. But the morality police with all this kind of stuff just drives me nuts. You don't get to dictate to him how he behaves or how players behave during the national anthem, as long as they're being respectful.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
Just because just lay off.
Yeah. Well, and let's stop like this whole idea of expressing opinions where they don't really belong. Like, you're not gonna, like what Joe just said, you're not gonna change somebody to do something and bend to your will. That's as good as telling somebody not to do something. You know what I mean? Like, I just find it ridiculous, the expectations that certains have. And Gunnar said it there. The tribalism in England is beyond mental, and it is. It is absolutely mental. Like, dude, why aren't you wanting to mend bridges that have been burned? Like, yes, it takes a little bit harder once you've burned a bridge to rebuild it, but at least make the attempt. You know what I mean? And I don't know if a lot of this thinking even stretches back to maybe even the World War II times. Like are we still on the fact that Germans might have nefarious thought processes? Right. Like, is that the thinking behind this? Because that's surely what it looks and feels like.
Yeah. 100%. Well, I'm sure there's a bit of that with generational hate and all that
that's
being
just
passed
down, right? Which we experience here in America,
100% daily,
time over and again. Like, it's a daily thing, yeah.
So, well, that's Tuchel. That's big takeaway here. Pep ain't going there, and another piece which seems to indicate he might be re-upping with us for another year, if not more. So,
yeah,
happy days there that there's no more links and rumors floating around of misinformation that we don't have to deal with. So, hooray!
Why? Hooray! Yes. But why are we still on about the fact that Pep is probably going to be leaving in the next season? Like, I just don't understand where it's coming from. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers this movie. Oh, I don't even remember the movie title, to be honest. But there was a movie where somebody was explaining a jump to conclusion, Matt. I think it was Office Space, maybe. They were talking about, like, this guy wanted to invent something, and he wanted to invent this jump to conclusion, Matt, and trying to, like, piece yourself down, right? It was funny, but, like, I feel like that's what everybody stands on over there, is this jump to conclusion, Matt. They don't have any facts that back up what they what they think or what they believe. It's just your feelings, and I'm sorry, but feelings aren't facts. He hasn't said, again, we say this, I feel like, every fucking week. He has not said anything that will make anybody believe that he is leaving. Until he does, it's canon. It's just bullshit. It's stuff for people to click on, and that's all it is. It's not real. And until he says it is, it won't be.
Definitely understand the end of the contract piece, but he's also mentioned numerous times that they will have a sit-down conversation in November, December, and we'll talk.
Nick,
you're talk it through.
Nick, you're telling us stuff that we already know, and this is why we're trying to debunk this. Like people take things and they run away with it and jump to a conclusion. He's not given anything concrete to say I'm leaving. So people jumping to this conclusion that he is just because he's on his last year. Every contract that he's re-signed has been a 1 or a 2 year contract anyhow. It's rinse and repeat. And until he says, hey guys, my time here at City is finished, this will be my last season, the talk about it is pointless. All you're doing is creating emotions that aren't fucking there.
That's the point right there, is anytime, because it seems like every week there's a new report saying that he's leaning towards leaving or he's leaning towards signing a new 2-year deal. Why keep recycling this same information until we've heard from him in the club? Otherwise it's just speculation and filling space on X and Instagram for people to post content. Really, that's the all this ends up being. And again, we're talking circles sometimes with this, but he's a man of integrity. When he says we'll have a decision in December, that's when we'll know for sure. And anything else before that is just talky talk. So
it is.
It's just people wanting to feel important, that they are dropping some kind of bombshell of fact and information that nobody else has. But it's just the same old information that keeps coming out. That's BS at this point. So
it is. No. Again,
everybody just relax. Yeah. And we'll figure this out in December. We'll have some information in about 2 months.
I wish I had that clip from that street DJ. Everybody tells everybody to chill the fuck out.
There you go.
Everybody chill.
Can't lose our composure.
I don't have time for your fucking stress.
Somebody else in the City community is a little stressed out and kind of lashing out a bit about the club, which is our former left back turned no longer part of our club, Mr. Benjamin Mendy, or any club. Real interesting comments that have popped up this week from him in relation to the club, that they haven't apologized. Let me find the actual. I have it up here, I think. I would have thought that Manchester City, of all clubs, would appreciate the lack of control and anger that a person or entity has with being charged with false allegations, given the Premier League allegations that they are facing. At no point have Manchester City apologized to me or even acknowledged how their actions almost cost me everything. I believe that it is fair and just for me to be paid the wages that I would have earned, but being falsely arrested for crimes that I did not commit. He also mentioned how he was struggling to pay child support, and some of the players at the time, Raheem Sterling, Bernardo Silva, and Riyad Mahrez, had lent him money to help pay legal fees and support the family, which is really nice of those three gentlemen.
Extremely. Because that's your responsibility, buddy.
Correct. And again, Manchester City didn't do this to you, pal.
No, you did it to yourself.
Because of...
You put yourself here because you put yourself in shitty places.
Yes.
And he goes on to talk about the fact that there were other players present. Okay. So
none of those players got charged with anything or accused of anything.
Well,
which is why they didn't. Which is why they didn't lose any of their paychecks, because they weren't going to trial. They weren't sitting in jail for a long period of time awaiting results of the investigation.
Yeah.
And when he's mentioned the captain was there too, there's folks on X that were taking that and running with it as more like fodder against Kyle Walker, but not realizing that he wasn't the captain back then, folks. Nope. I know it seems
he was far away from being the captain.
Exactly. So like it was interesting seeing folks run with shit that once again is not accurate information. But it seems, I don't think City did anything wrong withholding wages at the time. At the time, they didn't know what the outcome was, and unfortunately, this is society now, where when folks are going through these things, people get put on unpaid leave all the time. This is standard business protocol at this point. Whether you agree with it or not, that's fine. That's your personal opinion. However, that's what pretty much every company is going to do. They're going to put you on unpaid leave, suspension, whatever it is, until the outcome is come about. So I don't really feel bad for you. I really don't.
I don't.
So
not even the slightest. And I mean, the allegations at hand were enough for anybody to be like, I'm gonna keep my distance from that guy.
Yes. Yes.
And it would with anybody. Was he innocent? I think Joe's about to look that up. If he's claiming that the allegations are true, but aren't true, that's all good and fine. But I have not seen any court records stating that he's said one said case. So until that's proven, all of this is just him talking out of his ass because he doesn't like what people are saying about him. Tough shit, dude. Like, when you do dirt, you get dirt on you. Like, you can't expect to run through the mud and not get a little bit on you. Excuse me. The Baja Blast is doing work on my fucking tummy right now.
And still drinking it. So he was jury cleared him after a retrial. He was acquitted, means it was now found not guilty of all the allegations made against him by 6 women. But in these types of cases, it's really hard one to prove one way or the other. So I don't think he deserves apologies personally. If they give him back pay, I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah,
that's fine, but I don't think there's any apologies need to be made personally. But I don't have a problem with the way Manchester City handled it at the time. I think they handled it appropriately, considering they are trying to distance themselves from a really shitty situation.
And nobody wants that on their brand.
Correct. Exactly.
That's just business. Like,
so if
any one of us would have done something like that, they would have washed us clean.
Mm-hmm. And they probably wouldn't have just done. They would have terminated and not just like, because he never was cut or anything until well after the fact. It was just they were withholding his wages at the time. So I'm sure they'll come through some kind of settlement.
Also, yeah, if his house doesn't that mean something? Not always. He may have had money set back to where he could have paid his bail and stayed out while he was on trial. I mean, there's many facets of this that there are not very clear because we were all not there. We're only talking about on what we see and the perspective of it from this end. Like, again, we're talking about a business here, guys. If it was your business, would you allow Ben Mendy back into your side? Would you apologize for the shit that he ran through? Yes, he may have been acquitted on his charges, but like Joe said at the time, like that was a stain on the club, and everybody made a big deal about it, whether you were City or not. So, I mean, is some apology maybe in order to say, hey, sorry, we distance ourselves from you. You have to understand from our perspective why that is. But also the allegations that you were put on, that still doesn't look good to our club. And we don't want anything to do with that type of behavior. Or if you're going to get back into our side, how do we know that you're not going to have the same type of behavior again and really get caught up? Well, what's it do to somebody if the reprimanding doesn't hold any weight and you just allow them back in? That destroys a standard.
It also looks like once he was out on bail, he then went ahead and threw multiple parties at his mansion home that lasted late into the day. So it didn't really seem like even after he was out.
Anything?
That's what I'm saying. And according to Mendy, our former CFO, Omar Barada, who's now with United, allegedly told him that he would receive his unpaid wages once he had been cleared of the charges. After he was cleared, he sent Barada a WhatsApp message asking if he could confirm in writing that the wages would be paid, but he did not receive any response. And then after the acquittal, he reached out to Khaldoon and didn't receive a response at that time. So that seems to be the primary piece that he's using to go about getting his wages, was that he was told, allegedly, by Barada that he would get back pay. So that seems to be the piece here. So
think he'll ever play football again?
I don't think he ever loved playing football. I think he loved that it got him a paycheck that allowed him to do the fun things that he wanted to do. He enjoyed being a personality. He enjoyed the celebrity aspect, the women, obviously, that came along with it, the partying, the lavish lifestyle. He liked all that more than being a footballer from an outside perspective. So I don't see him continuing anymore at this point. So.
Right on.
Well, hopefully this gets just settled somewhere, and we don't have to talk about it anymore. So,
yeah, I don't ever want to talk about it again. I really don't.
Let's push it away. So, what do you want to talk about next?
Let's go
on our list here.
Let's go to the APT pushback. So
they were supposed to be meeting today, allegedly, and that didn't happen. That's not happening.
Yeah. So an emergency meeting for the Premier League was scheduled for Thursday. I'm sorry, it's for tomorrow. Yep. Scheduled for Thursday to discuss a legal dispute with Manchester City over sponsorship rules has been postponed. League officials were hoping for a swift resolution after a tribunal concluded that the key element of the ruling governing commercial deals between clubs and related companies were unlawful. The meeting was introduced to decide how to respond to last week's verdict, but clubs have now been informed that it has been called off. On Friday, this past Friday, Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters, who's a complete asswipe and should be wiped off of this fucking this board, warned clubs it was taking the necessary time to take stock of the rulings and hinted at a possible delay. The meeting will apparently now take place early next week.
Stop setting dates for things and pushing it back. Just no more commitment on dates.
Less credible every time you do it.
It's just not. It's a terrible look, and I thoroughly enjoy seeing it happen because it just makes their case and everything that they're trying to do look even more, like you said, less credible with every passing day. So if you're not positive, you can come up with a meeting date. Don't put it on there. Just say in the future we're going to get to it. We're going to do our due diligence, and that's that. You don't have to keep saying we're going to have it early next week, because then what happens is what just happened now was, we're not quite ready. We're gonna bump it to next week.
Yep.
You don't know what you're doing. This is further evidence to that y'all need oversight, that you do not know what you're doing and need to have someone who does know what they're doing watch y'all, because you are bad at what you're doing and at your job.
Do you think this is in part a bit of backpedaling, because they realize that anything that they do, they'll be sought out at the fact that they have been protecting the red teams for as long as they have with this current structure?
It's 100% backpedaling at this point.
Yeah.
They see the writing on the wall that they have. And again, if the Premier League won the case like they were putting out there when this first happened, this kind of shit wouldn't be happening.
Mm-mm.
At all. Everything would have came out. We would be seeing City lost, blah, 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 and a bunch of negative shit about our club. But you're not. All you're seeing is them tripping over themselves with fumbling this whole case. So,
yep. Time over again. I really don't know how much longer they should even push this on. If there's another win in this, especially for our side, like you got to put the shit to bed, or at least be close to it, because to continue to perpetuate this over and over and over and over again, you're going to drive people out of this and just be left with where are you going to make your money if people aren't subscribing to the label anymore. You know what I mean? Especially because you're making yourself look less and less credible and knowing what the fuck you're talking about, rather than what we already see and them trying to protect certain clubs from fairness. It's not anybody's problem that your business model doesn't work. It's not anybody's problem that you can't spend your money correctly or that you didn't sign the right deals with the right sponsorships. Like, that's nobody else's problem but yours. I feel like people have lost the idea that every club should be self-sustaining and that the PL does not run everything. If you want that, watch the MLS, because that's exactly what the fuck they're doing.
Precisely.
Yeah.
We also got news this week that Echeverri is going to be joining us in January and not going out on loan. So he will be part of the first team. He's going to be joining us in practice with the first teamers, and we'll see how much game time he gets right off the bat. Positionally, he is primarily an attacking midfielder for his current club, but he can be deployed kind of on the wings as well, left or right side. So he'll definitely fit into that rotation of double tens at times with Phil, Kevin, Bernie, McAtee, but he can also play out wide. Once everybody's back healthy, which looks like Oscar Bob is ahead of schedule, according to reports.
Good news.
So that's great news that he should be back early on time, or if not a little bit earlier, to work back into that winger position, which is deep once he's healthy. It's super deep when you got Doku, Jack, Savinho, and Oscar Bob out there. So I think it's a great deal that he's going to be around the first team. He seems to be one of those hyper talented kids that is competitive and wants to learn from those guys and fight for his place. So that's the mentality you love to see, and he appears to be good enough to warrant a look with them and see how he's doing. So I would much rather him spend those first 5 months or so in a new country absorbing with us than coming here, signing his stuff, and then like going out on loan someplace else and learning another place. Like, that never to me seems like the right move, because you're just creating instability for an 18-year-old who's moving to a new country in a new area and trying to get himself comfortable. So you hug him up and keep him close to home and let him get comfortable with us and the new country, new system, all that kind of stuff before we look to see and give him an opportunity, because he very well might be good enough and be part of the rotation and doesn't need to go out alone.
Right.
Much like some of our academy boys have recently. So,
well, I mean, in the most recent case, though, Savio is 100% a part of that talk, and we saw somebody come in and immediately contribute. So it can work both ways. It's all dependent upon the player. You look at somebody young, you don't want to pass them around a bunch of times, because by the time you get them, the hole's just blown out, if you get what I'm saying.
I do.
So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about him coming. We honestly, at this point, we need somebody who is more of a double threat in the attack. Losing Julian Alvarez, he was kind of that, but even more so the fact that he is more of a Bernie type player, where he can play both roles simultaneously, potentially, or just out and out one side. I think it's going to be good for our rotation with Bob out. Now, what does that say for Bob when he comes back? Because that attack is going to be full of positions. So it's going to. I'm assuming that by the time the next transfer window, excuse me, not the next, the summer transfer window comes about, if there won't be talk around the fact that Bernie is leaving.
That seems to be a perpetual
and a year
story.
Yeah,
always. So, but this is smart business. Like, you bring in a younger guy who's you project to be ready in the next year or two, while you have your older guys still on contract that are still capable and still super effective during that same window. So they're learning from one another. So when a Bernie is ready to go, when Kevin is ready to go, we already have guys right there, and we don't have to go out and buy dudes.
I mean,
right? Hey,
but and Nick, I've said in weeks past, this coming summer transfer, we need to focus on defense because we're getting thin there. The amount of injuries that we've had early on with Nathan, the uncertainty behind Kyle Walker and whether he's been able to perform on a regular basis. The only solid pieces that we really have are Stonesy, Diaz, Guardiol, and Akanji and Ake. I mean, I'm putting Ake in there. And Rico's really emerged. I'm not going to say that he's not going to be a part of this going forward, but there's going to be a need for rotation. So who comes in? Who do we look for to potentially bring in? And I don't think it needs to be a big name player. I think it needs to be somebody that we can develop over some time, rather than trying to just shove a new piece into it and say, here you go, guys, here's your new teammate. No, somebody you can put your arm around and say, hey, listen, this is how we do things here. Check this out.
Yeah, we don't need to spend like 90 million like we did with Yoshko. That age grade range is perfect. 2021, great spot. But not somebody who's so well advanced in their skill and ability level like he is, that he's ready to slot right in and start. We have starters across the board everywhere. We just need depth pieces and guys who can rotate in to spell and then hopefully grow into, because some of them are getting a little older. And with Rico, you never know where Pep is going to play him. He likes him all over the place. He says he can play pretty much any position. So does he even count? Does Pep count Rico as one of the defenders? Does he count him more of a midfielder? You know what I mean? So
right.
We're going to need some bodies in the back. But there might be help is on the way there too, from a new signing from 17-year-old.
The dude from Boca Juniors.
Christian
right?
Christian McFarland. He is a 17-year-old that's currently playing for NYFC over here. He's going to be joining us in January as well. One of the 6 fastest players in the world, according to there's a site that keeps the stats on that kind of thing, and they said he's quicker than Mbappe as far as like recorded times go. So he's 17, he's 6 feet, he's a big body. He's got some experience with MLS side. He's gotten first team reps. He'll be a developmental guy for sure. But they like him enough to bring him over in January as well. I'm sure he'll be joining up with the EDS squad at first, but they're continuing to build that squad depth with young talent. So gotta like that. He's an out and out left back too.
Awesome. But maybe that will help give the opportunity at some point for Yosko to move centrally.
Right.
I really love that, obviously because we're American. I love that City is dipping into the American talent pool and starting to bring a piece here, a piece there, and test them out across the pond. Because it's not to say that there isn't an abundance of talent here in the United States. There probably is, but it's unseen because of the pay-to-play system.
Very true. Next up, quick touch on the ladies. 2 topics there with the women's. They were in action again today in the Champions League. 3-2 win over St. Polten. I think they're in... I lost it. I had it on the tip of my tongue.
That looks
Austria.
like it's in Austria.
There we go. I knew it was an A. I was like,
Jinx.
I couldn't get it out. Right?
You owe me a soda.
I got you, bro. But not a Baja from the bottle. I'll get you a Baja from the fountain.
That's right, because it's
Fountain
only better.
Baja
It's
Blast
only
is so much better.
out of the fountain at Taco Bell.
Big facts. So they won 3-2, took care of business. They are sitting top of their group, which includes the one and only Barcelona, because they took care of them last time out. So congratulations to the ladies. They did it without Bunny Shaw and Vivian Medema. She was also not playing, so Mary Fowler was leading the line. And they went up early, conceded 2, and had to come from behind to earn that win. Didn't see any of the match. Fully admit that piece. But based on what I'm looking at with the box score, is a typical City performance: dominated possession, more shots on target, but led into. But they're top of the group, which is great. You love to see that, especially because they haven't been in the gotten past the qualification round in a very long time. So it's good to see them doing well in Champions League, much like our men. And then also
real quick. Real quick. Well, talk to me about what's going on with Chloe Kelly, because from what I understand, there's potential that she might be leaving.
From what I'm seeing, and this has been an ongoing problem between her and Gareth Taylor, the current manager of the women's team. They apparently do not get along or see eye to eye on things, and her contract is up at the end of this year. So the speculation is they don't particularly like each other too much. And she'll be looking to ply her trade elsewhere after this contract, because she hasn't renewed yet. That might be because she hasn't gotten the contract that she wants. That might be people just stirring up trouble where there isn't any. But if you take note of the lineup choices that he's had, especially this year, oftentimes she's coming off the bench for the bigger matches. When they played Barcelona, she wasn't as one of the starting wingers with Lauren Hemp. It was Mary Fowler who's in that position. So there probably is a little something to it. There's smoke, there's fire. How big the fire is probably up for debate, but it seems like she might be on her way out, potentially. So, but there's a whole 8 months to go, and stuff could change at this point. So, she did, however, get called up for the national team once again. We had 4 representatives from the ladies' side. Lauren Hemp and Chloe Kelly representing Man City for the women's national team, as is Jess Park, who is a absolute stud, young talent that is coming into her own now. And then Alex Greenwood also called up. So continuing the trend of our players, men or women, being well represented on the national stage for England. So kudos to those ladies for continuing to doing great stuff for club and country.
For sure. Let's go a little bit to let's take a little break here. We'll come back. We're going to talk about City announcing that they will not be doing season tickets for the new North Stand expansion, as well as following up with looking ahead at Wolves. So we'll be right back to talk to you about that.
All Manchester City fans are glory hunting plastics. Every single one of them claims to have supported them since the 70s, even though they were only born in the 90s. But I'm willing to give Manchester City Plastics an opportunity to prove me wrong.
Oh, I can't hear you.
That's because I muted my mic.
You're back.
Right. Welcome back from the break, everybody. As I said, we're going to talk about season ticket allocation for the North Stand, as well as looking ahead at Wolves. And also, we'll be interacting with you guys. So please, if you have anything you'd like for us to talk about, please hit it in the comments right now. We'll start and we will touch on that for a bit. But first things first, City, like I said, have announced that they will not be adding any season tickets to the new North Stand edition. Fans are not having it. Let's discuss why. Well, you're putting in a bunch of new seats, right? Obviously, there is a bit of disdain with people coming over and taking up all the seats. I actually recently just saw a video of somebody who went and trolled the East Stand and did the whole empty ad bit, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Irrelevant, but all in the same, it's probably going to cause that too, I feel like. But with them not giving season tickets to the North Stand, I for me personally, I don't think this is a good thing. If you're already pricing people out, this is a good place, I feel like, where you can put in new season tickets at a frozen price, because as we have seen through the We Are 1894 site, that is something that the City Matters group is actually heavy on, is freezing the ticket prices for the 25-26 season. I think they should. The Flexi Gold thing, I think, is also a good thing to have if you're somebody who doesn't like to go to every match, or doesn't have the accessibility or the financial means to go to every match. So there's a way for you to choose what games you would like to go to. I think that's I think that still should probably be applied, but nonetheless, they should be giving these seats to the people over there, at least 3/4 of them, the new seats, and then blocking off a section for people whom have come over on a tourist endeavor, if you will. So I agree with where fans are with this across the pond. What is your take on it, Joe?
I think it's good business at this point to recognize what the global economy is looking like. And this is for all clubs, not just Manchester City, because pretty much everybody across the board, whether it's a football club, whether it's a American football team, baseball, basketball, ticket prices everywhere are going up and up and up. And the economy is not doing the same thing for everybody. It's a problem across the board. This is not an American thing, an English thing, Spanish thing. The global economy is not great. So a show of good faith for all teams, including us, would be to say, you know what, I hear y'all are going through it. It's tough right now. You want to come to the games, but you're having difficulties paying for it. Let's not do the yearly hike. There's no need for that at this point. So I 100% agree with you. The freezing of the tickets should definitely happen. Clearly, there is enough demand for the tickets, even with the price increase.
Of course.
So why not continue in opening up more of those seats that they're putting in for season ticket holders? Why not do that? To me, that just makes the most sense and common sense out of all of this. And I think with that Flexi Gold Pass, there was like a $150 surcharge or some kind of extra fee that you have to pay to go along with it.
And that's a huge issue.
That's bogus as hell right there. I'll be 100%. We see it over here when you get on like the ticket sites, Ticketmaster, StubHub, all those things. You see the price of your ticket, and then by the time you're in the checkout window, it's gone up $50 or $60 from all of the different surcharges for whatever they did want to name it to gouge more money out of people. So it's a common practice across the board. This isn't like Manchester City invented this surcharge thing. It happens all the time with buying tickets. I just wish it wasn't a thing. And I wish our club would not penalize our fans who are dying to be at the matches as much as they possibly can by hitting them with ridiculous surcharge fees and fees for using their own tickets. And if there is anybody listening from over there that wants to hit us with a little bit more detail, if you have a Flexi Gold Pass, or know more about it. We read up on it a little bit before the show tonight, but still kind of foreign to us. We're trying to figure it out how it might compare to something over here. So please let us know if you have any additional details to educate us a little bit more, because I want to learn more about what you guys are going through over there, because we support y'all 100% in this situation for sure.
There's a certain level to that, though, of understanding business and supply and demand. Now, if the economies were doing good, understand that if you're getting pay bumps and the economy is flourishing, this shouldn't be an issue. But that's not the case. The case is the economy is on a decline across the entire world. Why are you charging people more?
Yeah. When their salaries are not also matching it to be able to do that.
Exactly. And I've made the argument for some people who are complaining about it of like, maybe you just need to get a new job and find something that's higher paying in order to facilitate your life. I know I've said that. And that's not me rescinding what I said. It does hold merit and weight to what, the whole situation. There are some people out there griping that aren't doing extra in life to be able to facilitate their life. But conversely, pricing people out of a ticket price that they've been used to paying for X amount of years, or understanding the percentage of what they typically pay for a match comparatively to anybody else. I mean, because we've talked about this ad nauseum too, about what we pay for any kind of even preseason match, whether it be for the Premier League or for something over here as far as our sports, compared to what you all pay over there. I mean, it's night and day, and we're talking about at least a 25% increase in ticket price for a preseason match than what you guys pay over there. But that still doesn't make it right. You should be paying a fair price to see your home squad. So we do stand behind that and support the fact that you shouldn't be paying ridiculous prices. £75 though doesn't seem so expensive to us, considering what we pay for an NFL match or an NFL game, which is on the nosebleed end, $200.
And that's cheap.
That's the cheap tickets.
My wife's friends are trying to get her to go to a Ravens game coming up here. And they were like, they had quoted a single ticket as like $330. And I was like, oh, that must be for like a pretty decent seat. And then she was like, nope, that's for way up top. And I was like, yeah, that's a no. And that was her.
And you're back.
The cord that attaches to my microphone is so touchy.
Change the setting. Gotta love technical difficulties right in the middle of the show. It's always the best. Nope. And
we should be back now.
We are back.
The connection there is so touchy. You bump the microphone even the slightest, and it gets all out of whack. Apologies.
Yeah. Well, and that's both of our mics, because we literally have the same mic. I'm going to have to say that Blue Yeti mics are not the move. If you're going to do podcasting, spend the money and get like a Shure mic, or like at the very least a Rode from Amazon, because you won't have to deal with this, but there's a little bit more you'll probably have to buy in order for it to work properly.
Facts.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pricing of tickets across the board for everything is just out of control. So concerts, all that shit. So
yep.
Unfortunately, that's the way of the world right now. So it is what it is.
Am's what it be. All right. So we're going to go ahead and give you a little preview of Wolves. Premier League season kicks back off on Sunday at 9 a.m. for us over here at in the States. What do you expect out of this, Joe? What do you expect out of this match?
We are away to Wolves, so we're going to the Molineux. Last time we played there, last season, we lost 2-1. That was Nunez's first return back, and that was a match where they were just giving him the business at every opportunity, if you remember that.
Oh, I remember.
You could you could hear clearly them chanting "wanker" every 2 seconds. Every time he touched the ball, anytime he got near the ball. So they beat us at their home field last year. We've won 7 of the last 8 matches with them, scoring a bunch of goals. So, and for me, I'm with Nick. 3-1, 3-0, right in that range. Will be interesting. The most biggest thing for me is supposedly Ake and Kevin are targeting this one as a potential return to at least the match day squad. I can't imagine Pep's going to start them right off the bat, but seeing them maybe get a cameo appearance to stretch the legs a little bit would be awesome to see that they're getting back to fitness level. So for me, I would anticipate a very similar lineup that he's been putting out recently. Since they haven't had much time to work as a unit, he's going to go with guys who are comfortable with one another at this point. I would expect us to go there and get a win. Might not be a big win, might not be a super comfortable win, but Wolves they are not playing great right now. They're towards the bottom of the table, if not at the very bottom of the table currently. So I don't expect much from them, and I anticipate us taking care of business. I hope Nunez gets back on the pitch though, so he can see if they do a repeat performance of last time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm on here looking because didn't we already play them this season?
No, we play them again in May, so this is our first go around with them.
Sorry, you know what? I'm for anybody out there. My memory sucks, so I'm there's times where I think last season is this season. Still, just forgive me.
Yeah, Wolves are dead last in the table with a -12 goal differential, so they are not playing great football right now.
Well, hopefully yes, like you said, hopefully we should go into Molyneux and give them a spanking, and get our confidence going into winter or even into the next few matches. Having Kev back will be nice. I really would not like to see him start.
No need for that.
I would much prefer him to come on as a sub. Hopefully he super subs it and we get a number 17 special.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really nice. But do you still remember we won the
treble? He's poking at you.
Nope. I forgot.
Was that sarcasm, Colby?
Oh, it was 100% my sarcastic ass. No, I remember big things, but people who can detail a match from 3 years ago, like there might be some slight psychotic shit that needs to be evaluated because I don't know many people that can remember that detail. Maybe I just need to stop smoking weed. I don't know what it is.
For different reason than that, I used to be one of those people that could like pull up that shit. But as soon as I became a father twice over, my memory just goes to shit.
Doo-doo. Yeah. Dude, I could sit here and talk to you about games in the past when I was a little bit younger, but like you said, the kid thing has distorted my memory a little bit, but also
plays a big role. If you're not a parent, you probably don't quite understand that yet. If you do become one, you'll understand where we're coming from, but any other parent will let you know that once you've had children's, the memory is not what it used to be.
No. I used to remember all 32 NFL teams, 53-man rosters.
Yes.
So you can't do that anymore. So yeah, that's what we think will happen with Wolves. I don't want to give score prediction. I think it should be a shellacking though, and we kind of need that. I feel like there has been plenty of times where we should have put the proverbial pedal to the fucking metal and we didn't, and it has costed us. So I hope that we do that in this one, especially away, and especially after Nunes caught the business. I hope Nunes comes in and
I
just
hope he maybe
gives
a
them the
goal
proverbial middle finger.
Right? And then next Wednesday, we are back in Champions League action against Sparta Praha. So we got full stretch coming out of the international break, because then we're back again on Saturday against Southampton, and then Wednesday the 30th, day before Halloween, we have Tottenham in the EFL Cup, but we know for sure that Pep is not going to be fielding a particularly strong lineup for that one. He's already said that, so should be
Expect Stefan Ortega to get some minutes.
Yeah. And we'll probably have a lot to do because there's going to be a lot of young lads getting some run with him. But pretty much for the next couple weeks before the next international break that's happening again in November, we pretty much play every 3 or 4, pretty much every 3 days until November 9th. So a lot of Man City football coming back at you.
I thought we didn't see international ball again until March.
There's another one in November.
Fucking hell.
After, was it November 9th? So, like, for us, Veterans Day weekend, after Veterans Day is on the 11th for us, and that 2-week window there is another international break.
Fuck.
Exactly.
Well, at least it's at the end of, well, it's not really the end, remember the split for my kids' season, so
yeah,
that'll be a nice let off or let into.
I will have multiple tournaments still to go in November, so don't slow down until Thanksgiving for me. That's when I'm off the clock for a bit.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm off the week before you. I mean, it's just a week. It's just a week difference, but yeah. And then we go back in January, so a nice month and a half off for the kids.
Get a rest.
Yeah, maybe we can do some early shows.
Entirely possible. I think the only thing we got, I think Ellie ends up doing indoor Winter League 5-a-side for indoor. That's like once a week, I think, if we're still doing what we did like last year. So
yeah,
and 5-a-side's fun because it's right inside and it's got walls, so they can use the wall, and it gets super physical, which is great for my kid who's big and strong and tough and likes to throw.
Saki. It's Saki. It's not.
It's a lot of fun.
If anybody can understand what I just put together there. Wait, is this at the Moose?
No, it's at SoFi in Columbia. That's where Man City has their satellite campus, which is pretty much just clinics for folks and trainings. But so yeah, it'll be fun. They serve beer there, which is great because I'm not coaching anymore because Jordan's team isn't playing, so I can go ahead and get an ice cold beverage while she's playing and get rowdy with the opposing fans who want to run their mouths for their kids.
I wonder if there's anything like that over there, or how well that would go.
There has to be, right?
Hey, anybody in the comments that lives over there,
they gotta have some 5-a-sides.
Well, no, I'm not worried about the 5. I'm talking about like a place like SoFi, where you can go in, watch your kiddo practice, and have a beer.
That's a yes.
I want to know. I want to know. Is there
inquiring minds need to know?
There? Yes. If anybody knows, let us know. Also, it's comment talking point time. So if you guys have anything that you'd like to have us discuss, throw it up in the comments. Let us know. For now, until we see some questions, we got a little tip that the United Soccer. What's the extra F? United States Soccer Federation. Excuse me.
There you go.
They're voting. They're voting on November 22nd on whether or not to switch birth year to graduation year for youth teams. I'm super excited about this. I hope that it goes to graduation year because my kids' team will then add a couple of new dimensions to their already awesome squad. So what are your thoughts on this potential change?
I think it's great for the younger ones who haven't established a team for a long period of time.
Yep.
The ones that are in that middle school age group that might have been with a team for a while and have a mixed bag of birth or not birth years, but grade levels, graduation or grade levels. Because, for example, Jordan's my older daughter. Her team, we have 19 on the squad. 10 or 11 are in 8th grade currently, and I think 7 or 8 of them are in 7th grade. So doing the graduation year wouldn't have to split necessarily. You know what I mean? They said the younger ones that are in 7th grade could still play up if they wanted to. But it kind of just throws a wrinkle, I guess, a little bit. And then it opens the door to we have for maybe a player who's been held back that's like 15 but is in 8th grade playing against like 13-year-olds kind of deal. So there would have to be some. I love the idea because it makes it a lot more simple, because right now, next year, Jordan's team again in the fall, more than half the team is going to be playing high school ball in the fall and not playing club. And then you have to kind of fill for part of the season. Those ones that are in 8th grade now have to have a team still. So they come up with what they call these trap teams, where they kind of combine teams for like one fall season for this exact situation where you have team players that are playing in high school ball, but then they all come back together for their normal team in the springtime. This would help solve that problem, where you don't have to worry about that anymore. But as long as they can regulate appropriate ages because once they're in high school age group, it really didn't matter so much.
No, because you're typically playing 3 to 4 years up anyways.
Exactly.
If you're talking about being a freshman playing on a JV or varsity team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Typically, and I don't know how the structure is for over there, or if there is school ball, to be quite honest. I that's something I really don't know, and I would love to know. So if anybody knows, like, do you guys have high school teams that you play on as well as club level, or is it just play for your local club or local academy, right? But I know, most students who are just fresh into high school typically fall onto what is called freshman team. If they're good enough, then they can go up to JV, and if JV is, or excuse me, if varsity is down a player and they need somebody to come up, they can typically pull them from the JV, right? So you really only technically see if you don't make the varsity team in your freshman or sophomore year, technically you don't see any type of widespread competition until you're a junior.
Yeah, correct.
But
as long as
there is the case of a younger, like a freshman, being in the varsity team, and yes, you're playing somebody who may be 10 to 30 pounds bigger than you.
Almost a grown-up at that point, because you're playing potentially 18 as a 14-year-old. You're playing somebody who's 4 years more developed than you are. But typically the growth spurts and things like that are starting to slow down for pretty much everybody at that point. So there's still some physical development happening, but at least in the high school age group, you're accustomed to that. But for like our guys, not my younger daughter, anytime there's like situations where somebody was held back and they're technically in their right graduation year, but they're like, there's a big difference between, when they're in that age group there. So as long as they regulate that out, I think it's fine. I think it would make everybody's lives a lot easier. There wouldn't have to worry about the trap situation that I just explained. And then for sure you're playing with, the same people that you're graduating with. So to me, it makes a lot of sense, as long as they can sort that out. Because on the same vein, there's still people who skirt the rules now as it is anyway with older players playing down and whatnot. So there's always going to be people looking to gain some kind of advantage, fair or foul. So it's just once they make the decision, let's go with it, and then fully explain how this is going to be implemented, and then how it's going to impact everybody, so we can plan accordingly going forward. Because it does have a very large impact on youth soccer in America and all three of our children's. So it's nice though, because it's been rumored for so long, and everybody's like, I haven't heard anything official yet, but they dropped it this week that there will be a vote on the 22nd of November to go forward with this. So finally getting a little bit of clarity.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully it helps the structure of the game over here, because suffice it to say, even though our kids are in it, it still is not anywhere close to being satisfactory for both players and parents. I mean, I know this is about the players and not us, but to sit there and see your kid not get an opportunity to play with people that are more on his IQ level, or for you on the girls' IQ level, it's tough to watch.
Yeah,
because you feel like your kid's the one managing the game to the best of its ability, and everybody's just kind of doing whatever the fuck. And when you have people who have knowledge together and understand how people or how each other move, and you just have that connection, it's a whole other dynamic to a game if you have that type of rapport amongst your players, rather than, this player doesn't play that well because they're underdeveloped or whatever it may be.
Yeah, because even right now, Elliot's a 2015, but she has 5 or 6 other teammates that are 2015s, but she's the only one that's in 4th grade. So everybody else, even though they're her birth year, are still a grade below her. So that's what Colby's referencing there, is like you're in the same birth year, but you're in different grade levels, and that there's a lot of development that happens at times, especially at the younger age group in the like late elementary school, middle. The difference between like a 4th grader and a 3rd grader at times can be pretty drastic in there.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. So I'm excited to see what happens with that.
For sure.
Definitely gonna be paying attention on the 22nd to see if any news drops.
For sure. Comments. You're not doing anything.
Started off strong, and then you guys were that entertaining that you're not asking questions. That you're captivated by what we're saying. But if you guys have anything you want to talk on or speak to with us, please let us know.
Drop it there in the comments. Otherwise, we're just gonna bro out for the next 15-ish minutes. You gonna need to bro out material.
I didn't really have much this week, to be honest with you. Busy weekend for me, soccer wise, though.
Yeah,
got 4 games this weekend.
Fuck.
Elliot's got 3. She's playing with her team, and then she's got 2 games with the older girls that she's playing up with.
Oh, nice.
So she's doing those, and then Jordan's team has her game, her league game this week too. So, but it's against our rivals.
Rivalry week.
Yes, it's the team that Jordan played with in the summer for the summer league. So she knows pretty much all the girls on the team. A lot of the girls on that team go to school with girls on my team. The assistant coach was Elliot's assistant coach last season, so I know him very well. So there's a lot of crossover in between. So there really shouldn't need any motivation from our side, from the adults for the girls. They shouldn't need any motivation because they pretty much know all the girls on that team. So it's going to be a highly intense matchup. So we're going to see what happens, but it's going to be fun. I'm excited. It's going to be a busy weekend, but I'm excited to watch Elliot for 3 matches, because last weekend it was all Jordan, and this time a little heavier on the Elliott side. And that time, and with her, I can just be the parent on the sideline and watch. I don't have to have the added stress of having coaching responsibilities. So it's a little. I would like to say I'm a little bit more relaxed, but I mean, that's really not, because I'm just hyper intense and excited.
There's secretly no chill in Joe Chill.
Especially when it comes to watching football matches, be it Man City or my daughters.
Yeah.
I get away with more. I can be more vocal when I'm coaching because I'm allowed to speak to them and I'm allowed to talk to the refs a little bit more.
Right.
I have to like reel myself in a bit more when Elliot's playing, because I'm like, I'm not the coach, so I can't, like, the coach in me is like popping up to try to tell the girls what to do. I'm like, I gotta bite my tongue a little bit there, because that's coach's job, not mine today. So I gotta just be as encouraging as possible and all that jazz. So,
well, let's talk about that a little bit, because I don't know what the rules are for grassroots sports over there on the other side of the pond, but as it has it, we over here for the EDP divisions and other divisions in our grassroots level, we are forced to sign a contract,
code of conduct,
a code of conduct contract when we have our kids sign up for a club. And basically what it states and entails is that you are not allowed to coach your kids on the sideline. I get. You're not allowed to have any interactions with the referees. You're not allowed to basically do anything but sit there and clap and give positive affirmations. Like, that's all you're allowed to do. What's it like over there? Are you allowed to like shithouse on the sidelines? Like, is that acceptable there, or is everybody like wieners?
I feel like it has to be over there, considering how they behave when they're watching their club.
Right.
It's got to trickle down into the youth levels too, right? Or even be worse, I feel like. So I see how bad it is on the American side, where these people are not like live and breathe the sport like I do, and they still get loud and crazy.
And, so then they say things they don't know what they're talking about,
yes,
which is hilarious.
The worst is when one kid just will like have a big kick and he'll just go flying down the other side of the field. Oh, great kick. Great job. What a big boot. That was awesome. The coach doesn't want them to do that. They want them to connect and pass the feet. But you're celebrating that they booted it really far. I'm like, do you know anything about the sport that your kid's playing? Maybe that's just me, where it's like, if my kid loves something and is playing something, I'm going to try to learn everything I can about it and not just be the parent on the sideline that's like, yay, great kick. Like,
right. A long kick is not a long pass in the NFL. It's not the same thing. He doesn't get stats put together because he kicked it X amount of yards.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're not tracking it like home run balls where they hit it a certain distance.
No.
That's not a good thing.
It's not like he gets a QB rating or some shit like that.
Right.
Like, we're not scoring touchdowns, we're scoring goals.
And just booting it up the field, not really helping us score goals most of the time.
No, unless there's somebody there that he's kicking it to,
purposefully doing it for
purposefully, right? Not just getting the ball out ahead so somebody can run up on it. That's not. I mean, good thinking, right?
Sometimes you have to clear it, but
right. Sometimes you have to clear it, but like, has to have a purpose.
Most of the time when they're cheering that, though, it's just because they kicked it really far, and it's like, oh my god, learn the game, please.
I a little bit of homework. Honestly, there's a part of me that really wants to like send like specific pages, like football dictionaries, to send to the group message of parents, because
yes.
I swear on Christ, if I have to fucking correct one more person for saying goalie and not keeper, I might lose my shit. Like, it's unacceptable. The level of ignorance that some of the parents do have. Like, if your kid's in a sport, don't you think you should know it a little bit, so that way you don't look like a complete jackass on the sidelines when you call something that isn't real?
That part too, when they argue with the ref, like, okay,
yeah,
refs over here, not great, but there are times where
especially
I
Mr. Aspen.
Oh my god, that guy, Jesus. But
just so everybody knows, we know a lot of the same refs, and we're going to know a lot of the same refs that are in our kids' leagues, because they play it, they specifically ref at certain places. So, anyways,
but I sympathize with them at times because some of the shit that the parents scream and yell about namely being like offsides and handballs, and they don't know what an offsides really is or what a handball really is.
Right.
Is just, I'm like, leave that poor referee alone. You don't know what you're talking about. He's not been great, granted, but you don't know what you're talking about. So just shh.
You don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
You don't know what you're doing.
Precisely.
Yeah, there is a lot of ignorance amongst the parents, and it is very like, even my kid's coach, when I told him that I got like all my certifications for coaching, he was like, that's more than what most parents would ever do. I was like, I want to know what my kid's doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to just let somebody coach my kid on some, bullshit fucking design. Like, I want to know what the setup is and what you're forced to do with these kids. So then I myself, when he's not with you, I can train him out in the yard on my own
and correct him the way that you would want him to be doing things. That's
right.
That's how I ended up getting on the coaching staff with Jordan's team, was because this was like a new team that she was in county. Like, everybody would just sit and watch practice. Most of the time the parents would just sit and bullshit and not pay attention, but I was like sitting and watching. And so I was like, okay, new team, travel. I'm going to go sit and just observe and listen, because I want to be able to tell her and help her grow and learn the game. I don't want to be telling her the wrong information from what coach is telling her. So let me just sit here and listen. And then he was like, hey, do you want to help move that goal for me? I'm sure. Yeah, no problem. Hey, then it progressed to, you want to help set up some things can you do this drill during this practice too? So you're going to be on the coaching staff from now on. I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, I just want to be, I'm one of those people that's just, I want to be involved and help any way I can. And it didn't start off like, I wasn't doing that to like get a spot on the coaching staff. It was just like what you said. I want to learn how you're coaching so I can tell her the correct information, because there's some things that I might think she should do, but if that's not what you are trying to tell her to do, I don't want to give her conflicting signals.
Right. Because that's the worst thing for a coach, is when you've got a parent at home getting in their ass or in their ears saying you should be doing this, and when they're telling you to do that, like, no, you paid money for him to be coached by, or her coached by a specific person. They have a certain way of doing things. Allow them to stretch their legs and help your kid, because when you do that, you could be hurting whatever abilities they may have by trying to teach them conflicting things. Like,
exactly.
There's a certain way a coach wants everybody to move up and down the field. You know what I mean? Like, don't say, hey, just be here ready for the fucking ball all the time. That's one thing I see a couple of parents do, is they only want their kid to be specific to one position at a very young age. Like, we're talking about U8s here specifically for me.
Yeah.
Dude, you need to learn to play the whole fucking game before you learn how to be a striker.
Yes. No specializing in positions that early. That's craziness. If any of your kids' coaches try to do that, find a new coach, a new team ASAP, please. They should not be playing one. They should not be playing one position until much later, until they get 11v11. Really, even when they're a 9v9 size and 11, 12 years old, they should still be learning different positions, because it's helpful. It's super helpful to grow as a player, to understand what other positions are doing. And as you grow, you might realize I'm better at a different position, or I like a different position more than I was before. And you never know that until you try them out. So, so please don't do that.
Also, if you see, like, if there's parents in here and you see like a kid just, taking the ball from your own players, be strong enough to go have a conversation with that person's parents and say, hey, listen, this is a team sport. And if you're teaching your kid not to be a team player, we ain't going to want you here very long. And we might have to try to find a way for you to find a new club, or work with our system to where you're you're actually contributing in a proper manner and not just being anointed the goal scorer for the team. Like I'm sorry, I'm rambling at this point.
Well, Nick got us a question. What's your favorite position on the pitch?
For me, I honestly think the midfield, any of the midfield positions, is one of the hardest positions, because you're not just playing in you're not playing in 1/3 of the pitch. You're playing in all 3/3, and going from box to box and making sure, especially at like the CDM role, we look at Rodri and the fact that he is so integral to our system, because he is the one that is controlling which way the ball is going to go. So I think midfield is probably one of my favorite positions. If I'm going to go specific on a midfield position, it would be the attacking position. That's where my kid plays. That's what I've taught him to play, for the most part. He knows how to play both the left and the right side of the pitch. He also knows how to play as far back as a center half and as far forward as a striker. So, but yeah, I would think midfield is probably my favorite position. What about you?
I'm definitely biased at this point, since I coach my daughter's team, older daughter's
Of course
team,
you are.
and she plays keeper. And when I pre elbow injury, when I went and played men's league, I played keeper too, mostly because my foot skills as a non-soccer player growing up are not phenomenal.
Let's also take into account that you're 6'7".
That's definitely beneficial when you're a keeper at times. So
it can be, but we're talking about foot. We're talking about fucking your foot at the ball at your feet.
Yes. So so for me,
big old fucking feet.
Keeper is probably my favorite position. My youngest plays primarily center half in 7v7 right now, but she has excelled as a winger and striker at times too.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I like saving the goals, and I just there's something about the craziness of a keeper that I just appreciate, because any keeper that's worth their salt is a little nuts, because they're putting their body on the line for their teammates and for the team, and oftentimes getting the one that's the most injured a lot of the times. So I have a pretty heavy fondness for the keeper position right now. And it's a
tough place to be on the pitch.
It's extremely hard. And my Elliot, my younger one, when she plays up with the older team, she typically plays a half and goal now too. So it's becoming a little bit of a family affair. She does it because she's a good teammate. She doesn't love it like her older sister does. So it's not a future position for her, but no. She will do it. She will do it for the good of the team, and she just loves playing. So she'll do it, but it's not her future position by any means.
You can tell when she's back on defense, she don't like being there. You can see it right on her face.
She's terrific at it, to be clear, but she's in her DNA. She's more of a forward attacking type player, and I can't wait for her to get that opportunity at some point. So she got a little bit of time 2 weeks ago at her last game on the wing, but it was like the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and the ball didn't quite get to her too much, unfortunately, so she couldn't really show off a whole lot, but the time will come again.
Nick, what's your favorite position?
Did you play? And if you did, what position did you play, bro?
That was a double entendre question, by the way.
Whoo!
Getting a little silly up in here tonight. Do we have anything else? I mean, we're now at 4 minutes of stoppage time.
That's about all I got, man.
What you got?
6
number
and 9.
6 and number 9. I figured that was you. I figured. Oh,
I do love a good. See what you did there. Took me a second. I got there though.
That gets a towel wave.
I haven't had food since lunch, so I'm a little hungry. But the brain is not moving as quickly as it was earlier today.
Go get some fucking glucose in you or something.
Yes.
Listen, what's it gonna take? This is something me and Joe have talked about off screen. And I don't actually remember exactly where the conversation originated from, but what's it going to take for the Etihad to get towels like the terrible towel? Because you know how awesome that would be to see a sea of blue towels just fucking wow. And then not only that, if you're smart enough, and you've got people next to you that are in other colors, you can wet the towel and smack them in the face.
Just snap it. I'm sorry. It was an accident.
My bad.
Oh, it happened again. Oh my goodness. It slipped out of my hand.
But no, seriously, I think it would be dope as shit to see.
Dude,
the East and West stands just when they're going on the pitch. I would rather have the North and the South stands reserved for banners and such, but then the East and West just towels.
There are times where they do the special events where everybody gets the
flags,
the color, the flag, or the color sheet or whatever, where they're creating a design and everything like that. But those go away after kickoff, pretty much.
Right.
So having
towels you can have the whole time.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. So that would be super dope.
Yeah, city rally towels. They need to have.
And you could do one section in white and one section in blue, and really have some fun with it.
Yeah, that would be absolutely dope. The terrible city towel.
There you go. I like it.
I like it. All right, guys. We are at 6 extra minutes. We're gonna jump the fuck on out of here. We want to thank everybody that's coming here tonight, hung out with us, been in the comments. Nick, Gunter, George. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you to all of our regulars who continuously check in weekly, even if it's after the fact. We appreciate you guys being here. If you love what you do, make sure that you share it. That's how we grow. If you share our content, that's how we grow. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bells. Make sure you get all of our content updates. Also, please be sure to follow us on social media if you're not already at SnobbyPod. That's on X. That's on Instagram. And that is on Facebook. Sunday, we will be having Will Lopez from the Hollywood Kipbacks join us to review the Wolves match. So we're really excited to have him on. Much other than that,
don't forget to hit the Snobby store. It's that QR code.
Hit that Snobby store right there. Yeah, I didn't say that after I put the halftime thing, but make sure you hit the store. Check out what we've got in there. Some good stuff in there, and not to mention the quality of all of it is pretty awesome. I actually. Just a quick story. I created a store for my kids' team and also the girls' team for the year above him. And they've absolutely loved everything that's come from the store. The orders are going out the doors because people love the designs. So yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. If you're kind of scared about I don't know what it's going to feel like, or I don't want to spend that much money, the shipping, blah, 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 bro, it's fucking worth it. And I chose all of the best quality fabrics that were possible on that site. And I have a long sleeve t-shirt for my kid. That's probably the most comfortable long sleeve t-shirt I have. So go ahead and check out the store, see what we've got there. We've got all types of options, t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies,
tanks.
There's tanks. There's even, there's a couple of bucket hats in there. So go ahead and check it out. Till next week. Later.